Hey everyone out there. This is day 3 of 100 Days with the CIA, and we're going to be making, if anybody signed up for my emails, you'll know that we're making vegetable stock today. Just a basic, very simple vegetable stock. And then on Thursday we're going to be making something called muhadra, which is just a lentil and rice mixture. And we're going to actually put it in a pita pocket, and it looks really, really good. It's a Lebanese dish. And I'll just show you the picture, and I know this is backwards on the phone on the photo, but this is what it looks like, if you could see that. It looks really good. So it's going to be, we're going to get the pita pockets, and we're going to make some chickpeas, and I'm going to make this spinach and raisin salad. And actually, the weirdest thing is I looked in this book for the recipe for the spinach and raisin, and there's no recipe for it. So I'm going to post a recipe. I'm going to actually create one for it, and I'll put it on my blog on Thursday before the live stream. So this way you'll be able to just get the recipe, because it's not in here. Isn't that weird? You know, you put a picture of a recipe in a book, and then there's no recipe for it. So I don't know, boggles my mind. But so anyway, so we got one person out there. Who is it? Who's out there watching right now? So anyway, anybody wants to chime in, just go ahead in the comments. Just go ahead and chime in, say hello, let me know what you're doing, what you're making. If you're interested in, you know, seeing something. Hey Susan, you're back! How was the wedding? Susan was in a wedding in North Carolina. Her daughter got married. Yay! So, yeah, so we're going to just make a basic vegetable stock. So the recipe in the book, and it's on page, I'm going to tell you, 454 in the Techniques of Healthy Cooking with the CIA. And it's funny because it's just 5 pounds of non-starchy vegetables, such as leeks, tomatoes, and mushrooms, and then 5 quarts of cold water, and then a sachet d'espices, which I'm going to show you how to make. And that's it. So they don't really, just kind of give you a rough guideline to go with. So the greatest thing about vegetable stock is whatever you've got left over in your refrigerator that you can use, basically. You don't want to use starchy vegetables because potatoes will make it cloudy, and you want to get a nice clear stock, so that's the idea. You know, don't want to use anything starchy. So whatever you've got in there. I had some leeks, which I had. Make sure when you have leeks that you clean them really well. I usually stick them in a bowl of water and then just really swish them around really good to make sure you get all the grit out, because they do tend to hold on to a lot of grit. I've got carrots. I've got a little bit of celery. Be careful with the celery. Don't go heavy on the celery. I don't know if Carol and Jean tuned in tonight, but I actually had made a gravy. It was hilarious, and I overdid the celery, and it tasted like celery. And then I didn't have, I usually use this gravy enhancer, and I didn't have it, so I thought, oh, I'll just add food coloring, because it was very white and pale. I made my my roux, and it was very pale, and then I thought, oh, I'll add some food coloring to it, and it ended up being green. So the gravy was green and tasted like celery, so don't do that. So be careful with celery. It's very strong, so I wouldn't put too much. I think I've got two stalks in here. This whole 5 pounds of vegetables. This is almost 5 pounds. I also have mushrooms, which I'm going to clean off, and this is rutabaga. Turnip is usually good to put in when you've got a lot of carrots, and there's a lot of carrots in this, and carrots can sometimes tend to be sweet. The turnip, or in this case rutabaga, because I couldn't find turnip, they are 2 different things. I'm just going to use the rutabaga, and that's going to help balance out the sweetness of the carrots. So always think about, you know, like your vegetables, what you're putting in. If you have something that's a little bit sweeter, you want to make sure that you have something that's, you know, not so sweet. Onions are great. I've got some nice Vidalias, I think these are actually Vidalias, so these will be on the sweet side. And then, you know, the leeks will kind of balance that out. And I also have tomatoes in here, so I've got a bunch of stuff in here, and I'll pull it out and stick it in. So what you can do is you can, if you want, you could chop up and dice these up really fine. And you can actually put a little bit of oil, some butter in the bottom of your pan. Or if you're avoiding fats, you don't have to do it. but you can caramelize those a little bit and get them, and they'll give more flavor. And then the other option is you can roast it. You can actually stick these on a big sheet pan, toss them a little bit of olive oil. I'd say like 425, 400, 425, and then just let them roast for a little while. See like 20 minutes how they are. Toss them as they're roasting, and that will caramelize them and bring out some more flavor, so it'll deepen the flavor of your stock. So if you want to do that, or if you want just a clean, plain stock, and you don't want, it's just going to be more of a clean, not that roasted flavor, we could just put them right in the pot, and then we're just going to cover them with water, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. We're going to lower it down, simmer it, and you're going to simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour. And that's really going to just kind of let that go simmer and then just bring out the flavors of those vegetables. And then once that's done, strain it out and then cool it and store it. 5 pounds of vegetables and 5 quarts of water makes 1 gallon of vegetable stock. So we'll have plenty. Which is a good thing. So especially I'm trying to be healthy here, trying. All right, so I have to do a little bit more of this turnip, but first I'm going to just go ahead and start putting in. So I've got some of these things already cut up. I'm just going to pop them in there. Some of the stuff, like I've got some carrots, and I cut them up pretty good. If you get a really big, thick one, you may want to cut them down a little bit more. So kind of try and get them even, but they're all just going to simmer in there. The more surface area, and then too, if you want to cut them up, the more surface area that you have, the more intensely flavored it's going to be, because you're going to have more surface area with the water surrounding it and actually cooking it and getting it the flavor. So, all right, all those. I got leeks, celery, carrots, a little bit of the rutabaga, and onions, and then we're going to put some tomatoes. Now, I want to cut this one up a little bit more. Always be careful when you're slicing carrots. You see this? When you're slicing carrots, move that out of the way. Whenever you're slicing a carrot, please be very careful, because you can hurt yourself. You want to just cut it in half, keep your fingers away, obviously, from the blade. And then when you have it round like this, be very careful. I always try and anchor my knife. If you can see this, you kind of anchor the knife down into part of the carrot. Then pull your hand away, okay, and then slice down. Be careful, because you do not want to slip. And you want to make sure to use a sharp knife always, because you're going to cut less likely to cut yourself with a sharp knife than a dull knife, which will slip. Okay, so then I've got my tomatoes, and all I'm going to do is just going to core out, and I've got this cute little core here, tomato shark. And we're just going to pop those in the basket over here. All right, so 3 of these, 4 of these. I can't even count. It's Tuesday, it's not Monday, Kathy. All right. So I'm going to take these, the same thing, I'm just going to slice them up. I'll probably just slice them into quarters. All right. And the thing about tomatoes is tomatoes, like mushrooms, have a lot of glutamates in them. They're they give you that umami, that really deep flavor. So that's the reasoning behind putting in tomatoes and mushrooms. They really do have that deep umami flavor. And honestly, if you want, you could take these and start them in with the onions and just kind of saute them a little bit. When mushrooms get brown, they get a really intense earthy flavor. Even white mushrooms, I find when I do that, when I take the white mushrooms and I put them in a pan, and it's funny because Julia Child would, she'd say, "Don't crowd the pot." And I stick them all, and I stick a whole bunch in a big saute pan, and then eventually they will start to, once the water evaporates out of them. Never wash them. See, I'm just taking a damp towel and I'm brushing off the dirt. This is the way you should really clean your mushrooms, because when you use water, they're like little sponges, and they'll actually absorb a lot of that water. Although I guess in the stock, does it matter really? Not really. They're going in water. It probably wouldn't matter because we're not going to brown them. But this is a habit I have. And they do have a really nice flavor on the outside of them. It's just, just very delicate vegetables. Oh my gosh. And I just lost one to the floor, so guess what? That one's not going in. So just brush them off. I have to laugh. When I first got married, I went out and bought a mushroom brush. A mushroom brush. Yeah, they do make such a thing. And my husband teased me, and he still, to this day, practically teases me. Oh yeah, he'll bring it up. You know, oh, where's the mushroom brush? So it did work really well. It was just, you know, it was a very soft bristled brush in the shape of a mushroom. It was cute. I had to buy it. Can you blame me? No. All right, so now that those are cleaned off, I'm just going to cut them in half, maybe in quarters, some of them. So that's going to give a lot of flavor to the stock. Now the stock doesn't say in the recipe to add salt, which is good because if you really are following a low salt diet, this is just, you don't have to have the salt, right? You can always add the salt later on. And depending on what kind of dish you're using them for, you'll be able to adjust it. So it's kind of actually nice to not have that additional salt if you don't need it. And I'm going to show you the kind of vegetable base that I use when I don't go through all of this work, because you can find some decent ones out there, bases for stocks and vegetable and beef and chicken, but I'm always going to watch because they do tend to have a lot of sodium, and if you're watching your salt intake, you got to really be careful. This one, it's called Better Than Bouillon, and it's actually reduced sodium. You can see that. Should bring that right up to the camera. There we go. It's backwards, but that's the reduced sodium, and it's Better Than Bouillon, vegetable based, and I love this vegetable base because whenever I'm making something, if it doesn't have enough flavor, if I'm like, well, it needs a little bit more flavor, it needs more flavor, it needs salt, but it needs some flavor, I will actually take a little bit of spoonful of this, like if it's a soup or a sauce, and I'll just take a little bit of this and I'll just show it to you. It's just a really thick, and you can see it's almost done. I have to go buy another jar. I really go through it. Maybe I don't know if you could see that, but it is a thick paste, and it's got vegetables, and it does have a few things. It has maltodextrin from corn, oil. It's got malted barley extract, which adds a lot of flavor. Garlic powder, natural flavors, dried potato. So it just adds so much flavor. So if I have a stock or I've got a sauce that's going, and I'm like, it just needs a little something more, you know, a little more than just salt, needs some more flavor, I'll just take a little spoonful of this and add that in, or you can stick it in some hot boiling water and just stir it in. It just makes a little bit like, you know, vegetable stock basically, which is good. I'm going to kick this mushroom to the side. All right, so I've got, heavy. I hope I can do this without spilling it everywhere. Hey, not bad. I hope this pot can fit all of this. This is a lot. It's pretty full of vegetables right now. I think it's going to work. It's an 8 quart. 8 quart. That was 4. And here is 5.